I've started vlogging from Prague yesterday. I have been around for a couple of days, but sometimes people are more important than even a personal passion, as is vlogging for me. And yesterday we went first to the Mucha Museum, where photography and recording was not allowed, but where I learned quite a lot of interesting and very touching things about this Czech artist. I've always liked Art Nouveau, as in Romania it's been quite well developed, but I only discovered Mucha through my partner, who used to visit Prague quite regularly. So I've only known the Czech artist for about 2 years, and to discover yesterday that in my heart I have so many similar things to him and his beliefs was quite touching. Just as he did, I am vlogging and I'm making my art as a culture mission to bridge between people, to bridge between cultures, and to bring humankind closer together.
I'm a big child. From the park near to where we're staying, you get a really good view over this side of Prague, even the television tower. There's Ehrling down there. It's where our friend is staying. The old industrial neighborhood of Ehrling. And we're aiming at the end of this park with a little surprise. Just as we reached the main alley in the park, there's this poem painted. 1918, 2018. Well, that's the centenary of Romania as well, but as I found out yesterday, that's the year when Czechoslovakia started to be as well after the fall of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And we've discovered even some more poetry written on this main alley. We have come across the key to all those poems written on the alley in this park, and it seems that it's all about love and hate, things that we love and hate in our lives, such as even cultural heritage. And I will read you these few verses from this poem. The last thing which I still adore about the worst of all thinkable words is my mother tongue. And that same poem ends with the words, and even if my last thought on the deathbed will be desperation, it will be pronounced in Czech. This is what happens when you don't stay only in the city center in a place like Prague. Walking across Zizkov, we ended at the viewpoint where the old mausoleum is. Our host actually from Zizkov recommended us to come to this viewpoint, and we discovered this was a mausoleum built in the memory of the soldiers who fell in the First World War, but like everything after the Second World War, this was confiscated then by the communist propaganda. Still, it's a very nice viewpoint over the city, and it tells so much about Czech history. Down from Zizkov, over the railway, we can see in the distance between tower and even Prague Castle, just on the horizon. Our hot soups came, perfect for an autumn which feels like winter. That's mine, pumpkin soup.
The long walk across Zizkov hill and down towards Florence with this particularly cold and windy weather wore us out a little bit. So we were looking for somewhere to grab a bite, something nice to eat, nice and warm. And we came across this Leon Bistro, which is on the tram line as you go towards the viaduct from Florence. And we had the pumpkin soup and kidney bean soup, absolutely delicious. I completely recommend it. Another off the beaten path place. And Florence itself is one of the main transport hubs in Prague, where the tram line, one of the main bus stations, train station and 2 metro lines meet. And yeah, we're nearly ready to go to the City Museum now. In 1968, the initiative to reform the communist regime in Czechoslovakia led to the invasion by the Soviet army. And here at the City Museum, we can see the exhibition with photography and information about what happened that year here in Prague. But that is also an important link to Romanian history, because Ceausescu, the Romanian dictator, he condemned the invasion of Prague and of Czechoslovakia. And that was the peak of his positive, more progressive politics, which brought him both the appreciation of the Romanian people, but also of the Western powers, because he was seen as a more open and progressive leader in the communist world. In the 70s, Ceausescu indeed applied some more liberal, more democratic, let's say, politics in Romania. And that was his golden age. But apparently then Kremlin was not very happy. The Soviet Union, as they say, put their foot on Ceausescu's neck. And then he became completely paranoid. And the 80s in Romania were really, really tough and not a good time. He was, after all, a communist dictator, despite his more brighter, sparkling moments, so to say. My friend from 1516. But quite ironically, everywhere we've seen an exhibition or a museum about communism in Prague, next to it we find a big symbol of capitalism. Door to door, a supermarket like Billa or McDonald's next to the City Museum. So, McAfee is a thing. I didn't even know that, but hey, it works. It's another day in Prague and the weather is getting slightly better. My voice is getting slightly better. But however, I've already recorded what I wanted to show you of this beautiful city. A little bit off the very touristy bits. Maybe things that you wouldn't have learned about if you stick to the center of the city, the old town square, the castle, or the places that kind of everybody knows about. And we took you yesterday with us to the City Museum, which is a lot cheaper than the ones in the city center and is located at Florence, as I said. The last thing I want to show you, though, is take you on a small trip by tram, because that's something that is linked to my childhood and it's a very popular means of transport in Prague as well. I love the tram for a few very obvious reasons. First, it's a very ecological means of transport because it uses electricity. Second, it shouldn't get so easily stuck in traffic because it's got its own tracks, and on certain portions of the journey they are also protected from major traffic. And then it should be affordable for all of these reasons. But unfortunately, in Birmingham, the trams are quite expensive, while here they cost only £1, about £1 for half an hour of a journey. And yeah, it's a pleasant way to discover a city. It's very popular here in Prague. And I hope you'll enjoy what we recorded on the way as our very last of Prague today.